the rules that we're going to follow today. And all of the candidates have been informed of these procedures. Oh, that's a good idea. I've been reminded to remind you that perhaps everybody should turn off their phones so we're not interrupted. Each candidate running for a contested office will have an assigned seat at the tables in front of the room. One of the candidates running for vice president is unable to be with us today, Olga Wolkenstein, so there are 4 people running for vice president seated here. 5, I'm so sorry. Okay, each candidate is going to be introduced by Commissioner Weiss, and each candidate will be given 5 minutes to make an opening statement. When you're told that your time has expired, please stop talking. Following the opening statements, candidates will be given the opportunity to question each other. And you should make sure that you're recognized by Commissioner Weiss, our moderator. The floor will be open to questions from the floor from the residents. And if anybody wants a card, Ruth Joyce has them. Write your question down. And they will be read from the podium. And if anybody after that has a question and time allows, we'll recognize people from the floor. Okay, I'm going to turn the meeting over to Commissioner Greg Weiss.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. It's wonderful to see you all, and really it's great to have so much participation and interest in the election here. I wish we had that kind of interest in the elections we have for the county commission. So. All right. So we'll go ahead and we're going to get started, and I will introduce the candidates that are running for. We'll start first with president. And so we have Fausto Fabro. To make your opening statement. Okay, I will introduce them all, and then, so why don't we do this, just make it a little faster. I'll introduce everybody, and then we can hold our applause, and then we'll come back afterwards and we'll get to their opening statements. Okay, so I'll start again. Fausto Fabro running for president. Kelly Jansen running for president. Vice president, you'll be selecting no more than 2. It's going to be Patricia Caputo, Marilyn Curtis, Dominic Guardia. He left the building. Phyllis Richland, Bob Rivera, and Olga Wolkenstein. And running for treasurer, Ed Grossman, Joanne Robinson. We have 1 candidate running for secretary, James Borsos. And corresponding secretary, 1 candidate running, David Boaz. And okay, and then we'll do the executive board candidates later on. So we'll go ahead now, let's get started with opening statements for president. Fausto Fabro, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I stand before you, I don't need a microphone. I stand before you as a dinosaur in today's society. Why do I say that? Because in the real world, when we were growing up, we were apprenticed, we learned a job. We studied, we read books, we met people that taught us how to live life, how to work, how to be better parents when we grew up, better grandparents as we got older. When I came to Century Village, I was very lucky. I had a good board. I started off as a board member 18 years ago. I went to work other positions on the board. Eventually, I became president, learning every day. Still not happy, I was able to seek out, not by turning a computer on, not by opening up a book, by talking to people that were actually doing the job. That's the difference between the people of today and the people of yesterday. Today, they Google. When you Google something, you gobbledygook. When you actually talk to somebody who's doing the job. Commissioner Weiss, I'm sure, would be very, very educational to anybody that wanted to be a commissioner. But if you Google police commissioner or Commissioner Weiss, they're going to tell you, oh yeah, this is the job. You need more than that. And in the last 18 years, I've been treasurer, secretary, president of the building. I went on to the executive board, spent a year on the executive board, and now I'm 8 years serving as a vice president. Unfortunately, our current president, David Israel, got sick 19 months ago, and I didn't go to the computer. I didn't have to hit Google search. What do I do as a president? I got together with my officers that were already there. Our vice presidents, our editor of the newspaper, and with the knowledge that I had received over the last 6 years, the last 2 years, we've kept the village running. The pools have been open. There has been nothing that has been missed. We didn't skip a beat. And that's the difference between the dinosaurs of yesterday and the people of today. People of today want instant gratification. For those of us that work in the office, it's the same thing. I want it. I feel that myself and the officers that you have at UCO today have earned and should have your respect and the ability to keep Century Village going over the next few years. Thank you.
And also running for president, Kelly Jansen. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm Kelly Jansen. I'm running for UCO president. I'm fairly new in the village. A little bit about my background. Moved here 21 months ago. Within about 6 months of being in the village, I was board appointed president of the Northampton A Association. A few months later, I ran for the UCO board last year. I missed out by 1 vote, but a few months later, I was appointed to the executive board by David Israel. And then after being on the board for a little while, I saw a need for more communication, more help for the board members of the associations. So I got together and I started a club, the Board Synergy Club. So we've been meeting every week since July of last year. We meet Thursday afternoons at 1:30. In October, we started a website to better share information. I used to walk around with a 4-inch binder full of information. Somebody on the club said, hey, you need to put that online so more people can get access to it. So I did that. It's been out there. We've had about 320 people come out and see the site. We've had 11,000 page hits. So in perspective, the UCO new blog, they've had about 1,000 in the first month. In a little over 3 months, we've had 11,000 page hits. So people are finding the information useful. A little bit about my leadership style. So traditional leadership in business used to be command and control, top down. I came up in the servant leadership style, which is more bottom up. Top down, the team serves the leader. My leadership style, the leader serves the team, tries to make them more effective, remove roadblocks, things like that. So you'll see I have a very different style of leading. One other thing I wanted to mention, my vision for UCO, I call them the guiding principles. I think that number one for UCO, what they should be doing is creating value, a real long-term value for all the residents. I see that being done in 2 ways. One is helping keep our unit owner costs low and reducing the workload for board members. I think we're asked to do a little too much for how small our associations are. And the way I go about creating that value, one is with integrity. So I'm going to challenge everybody I work with to have the courage to always act with integrity and transparency in everything they do. And two is compliance. We need to be following all the rules and respecting everybody's rights as we go about doing it. And then finally, what should we value? I think it's three things. One is customer focus. We need to get to know our unit owners and our board members and anticipate and satisfy their needs. Two is knowledge sharing. We need to get knowledge from any and all sources and proactively share that information with those who need it. And then finally is respect. We need to treat everyone with honesty, dignity, sensitivity, and respect all the time. And we need to appreciate the value of diversity. We have a very diverse group of people here. Everybody I've met so far, I've met many of you in here. Everybody's so wonderful. I love it here. I want to live here another 30 years. It's part of why I'm running for president. I want to help create positive change so that this is a place that when I'm older, it'll be still well run and there will be people doing this in my place. So, and then a little bit about, how much time do I have, Commissioner?
You have 1 minute left.
Thank you. So a little bit about what I was doing 6 years ago. I was working on a large artificial intelligence project on a $200 million paper machine that was not running right. We brought in a couple of teams, one from the UK and one from Berkeley, California, to help us troubleshoot it. 4 years ago, I was leading a team of 10 people doing business intelligence for a large corporation. We had 67 paper machines, 300 converting lines. We did all the production reporting. One of our paper machines created enough paper for 240 million McDonald's napkins every day. So we had a large volume of data. And 3 years ago, I was running a team of 20 people for the manufacturing execution systems for all those machines. So I have a lot of business experience taking over new teams, being an effective leader, and I was doing that 3 years ago. So thankfully now I'm retired, but I have the energy for the job and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start now. We'll hear from our vice presidential candidates, and we'll start and we'll do it in alphabetical order. Patricia Caputo.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. It's great to see so many people here today. I think most of you know me. I have been a resident here since 2010. I purchased my unit in 2004. I wasn't here more than 5 days when my president informed me I was on the board. I said, what does that mean? What does it mean? Oh, you'll be a great secretary, because you were a secretary. So I went on the board. I was on my board for 10 years, serving in all the different positions, like Mr. Fabro, a secretary, treasurer, president, vice president, etc. I'm not on the board officially, but I'm still helping them in the building because that's what I like to do. I have been with UCO approximately 7 years. I used to be a receptionist. I am vice president presently, loving it. I feel the same way as Kelly does, that diversity, anyone and everyone could come and talk to me. I don't care what building you're in. I don't care if I'm not your vice president quadrant. I turn no one away. I think it's very, very important to hear the people. I try my best to help them and to resolve their problem. I'm not an attorney, although I worked for a law firm for 35 years. I was an office manager for 8. I also have business values. I respect everyone, and I expect people to respect me. I would like to remain in this position. I'm not going to talk for 5 minutes. You know I always make my speeches short in my articles. Those of you who know me know what I'm about. I have compassion, I'm honest, I have integrity, I'm a woman of good morals and scruples. More than that, I can't offer. I do have compassion. So please vote for me. Thank you.
And next will be Marilyn Curtis.
master of the microphone. Thank you all for coming. This is amazing, and it's very heartening to see this reaction to something that I think is important in our village, to be invested and interested in who's going to be there for you and listening to you and helping you. My name is Marilyn Curtis. I'm an owner and board member of Camden Eye Condo Association since November of 2014. I'm running for vice president. The skill set I intend to draw upon was my many years as teacher of secondary level English. And every mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, you know what I'm talking about, right? You can't convince an adolescent with telling them my way or the highway. You've got to be able to bring them around to an idea that you have for a good path. And that's the skill set I'll be drawing from, years of that, 14 years as an English teacher. In 2023 of July, a group formed by Kelly Jansen, fellow officer candidate, brought 4 of us together who had a mutual desire to find solutions to our challenges as board members. We discussed ways we could help each other. The ideas we shared grew, and it became the Synergy Club. Soon, others with similar concerns joined in, and that tiny group of 4 grew and grew until our last count was 300 hits on the website. We met weekly. Sometimes there were 10 people in attendance, sometimes 45. Kelly continued to add new information to a website he developed for our group and CV at large, always vetting the information very carefully. Kelly's vision for Century Village perfectly coalesces with one I've been carrying in my heart and head since I became a member of our board. And I have been doing that for 8 years, ever since, I was another one who moved in and the next day they said, you're on the board. Okay. Put simply, that vision is that everyone who comes to us with a question leaves feeling heard and respected. We know it won't be possible to fix every problem, but together we can figure out a way to get to the best possible place and maybe to avoid it happening again. By running for vice president, I expect to help Kelly and other like-minded officers bring CV into this century and to foster a sense of community among all residents. Thank you very much.
Next up, we will hear from Dominic Garashnia. Garnagia. I will, by the end of this, I will get it right.
Good afternoon. In 2002, Kathleen and I came down from Boston, Massachusetts, where I was adjutant to the mayor of Boston and was the leader in housing and so forth. If you don't recall, I'll say that in the late 70s, there was a move for whites to get out of town and abandon the schools and burn down what was there and let it rot into the ground. And my job was to work with the EPA and come up with a design that was pleasant but stand out. And we did that for 22 years. We came down here, and immediately I was asked to go on what's the term? The various clubs and so forth. And to this day, I have done 4 swimming pools, 2 swimming pool houses, as did Mr. Grossman and I did one together, and I did 3 alone. And we're still working on housing and upgrading to the best of our ability, comfort and wealth to everybody. That's about it. I'm a little shy, but thank you all very much for coming today.
Next up, Phyllis Richland.
That would be me. Hello, everybody. That's who I am.
You're right, Mike.
Wow. I really don't talk out of both sides of my mouth. I must remark how happy I am to see so many people here, and so many younger people. And the faces here today give me a lot of hope, and I hope it's an indication of interest in becoming an integral part of UCO. Okay, now who am I? I was born and raised in the Bronx, and I moved to Brooklyn, where I met and married my husband. Personally, my background is in mortgage and banking. I was a credit analyst for a construction company. Contracts and contractors do not frighten me. Both of our sons were raised in Brooklyn, and they went to California for school and for their careers. We followed a few years later, and now, 27 years later, here we are. We settled here in Century Village. I became president of my association, Somerset K, and over the next 20 years, I was part of 4 administrations here in the village. I started on the executive board, then I went on different committees, and then as vice president. Over the years, I started programs for the health and well-being of our residents, which has always been a top priority of mine. I brought lifts and CERT into the village. I started health fairs, and I was able to help our residents that were in financial need with food stamps and adjustments to their FP&L payments. I also acted, thank you, somebody remembers me. I also acted as the civilian liaison with fire rescue. As a full-time resident, I've seen the demographics of the village change, which is very encouraging. As I said, I hope it's an indication that more of you will volunteer and bring your expertise with you. All right, that's enough advertising for Century Village. I am Phyllis Richland, and I am running for Vice President of UCO because I feel it's time to get back to serving our residents. And I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. And next, we'll hear from Bob Rivera.
Last but not least. Hopefully. Hi, I'm Bob Rivera. I'm going to stand. I've seen a lot of going on through UCO as the corresponding secretary, as the recording secretary, and hopefully as the vice president for UCO. I've been discouraged a lot with some of the things that went on. I don't really want to speak bad about our president because he did do a lot for this village. But over the last 19 months, this was our president. I don't care what anybody says. I resigned as the corresponding secretary because the president took away my job. And basically I had nothing to do except look pretty for them. I'm done. All right, I came to do a job. That's what I want to do. All right, one of the things that I want to do is do some things for our vets. All right, it's been long overdue.
Yep.
All right, I am a member of the DAV, which is Disabled American Veterans. I'm a member of VFW, American Legion, and of the Elks. And I'm the Veterans Committee Chair at the Elks. I want to see something where we have our veterans able to come in and go over their benefits, see what they can get up or down, whatever. It's not just that. I also want to do for whatever quadrant that I work for. They're going to have my phone number. They're going to have my cell number. They're going to be able to call me and tell me their problems, and I will find whatever solutions possible. All right. There's a lot of people that are seated here. They're all worthy of being on UCO's board. All right. I feel I'm also one. I love this village, and like a lot of people, we all have something in common. You move in, you become the president. All right? Same thing with me. I moved in, I became the president within a month. That was it when I moved into Camden. All right? Now I'm in Bedford, I moved in. A year later, I was the president. Then I'm currently the president now, after a few years not being. I want to see this village grow. I want to see it get better. I'd like to see a dog park, which the commissioner is very much aware of. I have a service dog, and there are a lot of people here with dogs, and I know a lot of people don't like dogs. One of the things that maybe we should consider doing is having a committee to find people that do not pick up after their dog. I personally think that's a problem. You get people walk around, they got these little dogs, and plus a limitation on dogs. All right? I've seen people walking around with 3 dogs. That's ridiculous. All right? Not 3 dogs can be emotional support for one person. I'm sorry. All right? I am an advocate of service dogs, real service dogs. All right? If you have an emotional support dog, that's fine too, as long as you got a doctor's note telling that you need that. All right? I believe that it should be that way throughout the village. How much time do I got left?
50 seconds.
Okay, 50 seconds. In 50 seconds, all I'm going to say is, vote for me.
Thank you, Bob. All right. Next, we'll hear from our treasurer candidates. And again, in alphabetical order, we will start with Mr. Ed Grossman.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening to everybody, and you should continue to be here forever. Everybody on this dais who's running is an interested party, no matter who you vote for. I want to say one thing, that Bob Rivera I want to give him a compliment for servicing our country, and I think that deserves it, and also his candidates. I further want to say, and I didn't invent this, the rumor that I am dead is absolutely an overstatement. In fact, I check with my wife every day. Whatever she wants, she gets. I started here doing nothing, and my brother-in-law, who was very active, said, get active. And so I got active, and I'm here like 15 years, maybe 16, and I've run for treasurer before. I ran in 2016 and sponsored a candidate forum because there was none that year, and we had a wonderful time. Every candidate was invited. The only one that showed up was me. Those of you who know me, a quick resume of my background. I've been president of Wellington A for 14 years. I ran for treasurer 3 times. I lost once and I won twice. I think there is a dramatic change here in the village from when I started. There are a lot of things that I oppose, and one thing those who know me know I'm not very quiet about it. My job as treasurer can be summed up in one very quick sentence. That is, my job is to protect the assets of our village. Those of you who know that I have been a proponent of getting interest on over $11 million, all covered by the United States government, either by the FDIC or the Treasury. I think it's unfair to the rest of the village that I've been precluded from earning. It's up in the neighborhood of $350,000 since I proposed it. I followed every single rule that they said, even though I don't believe it's case. I brought it to the officers committee. They voted on it. We lost, and I reminded them that our bylaws say whether the officers committee agree or not, it goes to the executive board, and whether they agree or not, it goes to the delegates. We've tried to bring it to the floor, and those of you who know or don't know, erroneously and actually illegally, we've been precluded. Now, at the last finance meeting, and I have a transfer because it wasn't put on TV. Everybody on the finance committee voted that I should go forward and buy it. And I said, I can't, because our bylaws require 2 signatures, and none of the other signatures will sign. Going back to when I first came here as a treasurer, there was a special deal across the street at Citibank. And at Citibank,
Your time's up. Time's up.
time's up, 5 minutes goes very fast.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, appreciate your cooperation. All right, next up is Joanne Robinson. You have the floor.
This is so daunting to be the last person in a forum like this. I know you don't want me to spend a whole 5 minutes. You're all sick of hearing us at this point. I'm Joanne Robinson, for those of you who may not have met me at this point. I've been the recording secretary at UCO for the last 2 years. Am I qualified to be the treasurer? I absolutely am. Can I tell you why? No, not in 5 minutes. I've had a very extensive background in bookkeeping and accounting and a financial manager, and it goes on and on and on. I'm 72 years old. I've had a lot of experience. I have been doing a lot at UCO. I'm very, very honored, and I love spending my time with my colleagues. I feel we've gotten a lot accomplished in 2 years. The very first thing that I set out to do was, I have a telecommunications background. We had a horrible telephone system, and I went about replacing it. However, the only reason we really did that was because our guest entry system wasn't working. So I heard a terrible story about a tragedy that happened because people couldn't get in and out of the gates. we took care of that very quickly, and we have not had an outage since. That's the kind of involvement I intend to have going forward. I really have not done anything other than find out what you all need and try my best to provide it. I was asked by David Israel shortly after he became disabled and was having problems out, getting around. He asked me if I could help him with Zoom. Well, we now have a Zoom program. That was very easy for me to get everybody up and running on Zoom. And we've helped boards use Zoom to have better board meetings. So the technology is there, we can use it. And I love to integrate with everybody's needs. The last thing I took care of was David's 14-year-old blog was attacked. It was so old. 14 years in technology is like 200 years old. So that blog was so out of date, and so it couldn't be fixed. So we started a website, and we're starting to integrate the things, because immediately we had to get the blog posts out. We always want you to have your most current, up-to-date meetings, videos, announcements, etc. And the blog was where you went to get that stuff. And it's where we collect our email addresses for everyone. So I made sure that all of that was working properly. So my whole orientation is to be involved with the needs of the community. Now, to shift to a financial perspective is something I would be honored to do for you. I can do that. It's a little daunting. There's a lot of money involved. It's your money. I'm going to protect it as treasurer, and I'm going to be there every day, always making sure that everything that you require is happening. And that's all I want to say. Please, if you want, vote for me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Just a gentle reminder, check your phones, make sure they're on silent or turn them off so we don't interrupt the candidates when they're speaking. As somebody who's done that before, it can be a little unnerving as you're speaking, and you can lose your place, and everybody's really gracious with their time, so we want to make sure we get an opportunity to hear them at their best. And Bobby, you have the floor.
Okay, we're going to open up questions from candidates. If there is a candidate who wants to question another candidate, please raise your hand and you'll be recognized by Mr. Weiss. It'll be 3 minutes for response.
Kelly, you are recognized, sir.
Thank you. So my question for Fausto. So I've been to several of the meetings, and you know what Ed brought up with the CDs. It seemed like something that should have been able to have been solved and move forward. Could you explain why that kept on stalling and why people couldn't get together and work to make it happen?
Sure.
Thank you.
Go ahead, you're recognized.
Okay, number one, there's a procedure. As a business person, you should know you put a business plan together. You present the business plan to the officers. The officers feel it's good, we question it, we approve it, and we move it forward. Mr. Grossman brought a plan up. He brought a gentleman in from a company that handed out a pamphlet, and his presentation said it will be no money, no cost to the residents or to UCO. And on the back of the same paper that he handed out said there was a $300 annual fee. Okay? So it was brought to his attention. He could have straightened it out. He never did. He was told by the officers, bring us a plan. Go to the bank, A, say this is my interest, this is how much we're getting, how much can I get from you? Go to B, Bank B will give you this much. Bring that information to the officers, black and white, in a piece of paper that we can digest and ask questions. If we can live with it, we would forward it to the executive board, who we now have the ability to say, look, we think this is a good deal or a bad deal, and they in turn say, okay, let's bring it to the delegates. That's what we've done in the past. and Mr. Grossman has not done that. And he has refused to do that, even though when his committee has told him to give that information to the officer.
All right. Mr. Grossman, you are recognized to answer your question, or to ask a question of,
Ask a question?
yeah, this is about asking a question.
Yes. Mr. Fausto, did the officers vote on the motion to buy CDs or treasury bills?
Is your question, did the officers vote on it?
Yes.
The officers did not vote on it because you did not present a business plan that we could look at.
Mr. Fausto, you sure that's correct?
Yes,
My reply is, you must have a short memory, because it went to the
This
officers.
is,
They turned it down, and the next step was to bring it to the executive board. It never happened. So,
all right,
that being the case, he does?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
thank you, I
I'll
appreciate
put it
that.
out, and everybody can read it, see it, and view Mr. Fausto's offices voted on.
Okay, thank you very much. Who's the next, anyone else?
Anybody else on the dais want to ask a question?
I have a question for Mr. Kelly, and I have something for Mr. Ed afterwards.
Okay, you're recognized with your question for Mr. Kelly,
Okay.
or Kelly?
Mr.
Mr. Jansen.
Kelly, you had, in your presentation, you brought up that we're going to work and intermingle with the workings of the individual associations. If you've read our agreement, that is contrary to UCO's bylaws. We are not allowed to interfere with the functions of the association. We can make a suggestion, we can offer guidance. We cannot tell them what to do.
Is there a question in there?
Yeah, my question is, how, if our bylaws and bilateral agreement prevent UCO from interfering with the association, what is your plan to interfere with the association? How do you fix that?
Yep, thank you for that question. So I'm aware of the UCO bylaws, so I do not plan as a servant leader to tell associations how to run their business. That's not our job. But I do plan to understand what pressing needs they have, what kind of information they need, and make sure they have access to the information that they need and want. And that's part of what we try to do with our website, which is boardsynergyclub.com. It's all publicly accessible information. It's nothing that we're writing. 99+% is all just links to other sites and just providing the information that right now board members have to go to 3-5 different places to try to find the answer. We're trying to organize it so if you have a water damage issue or you have an ESA issue, all the information is in one place for you. So that's how I would address that.
Oh, okay. You're recognized, Patricia.
Thank you. My question is to Mr. Fabro. What is in your plan to connect people again to help them in the future? You know, you usually
Good
talk about
question.
hazardous.
Yes. In the past, we had presidents lunch with the president or meet the president, where the administrative secretary would call officers of the associations. They would meet once or twice a month, sit down with David Israel and some of the vice presidents in the UCO office, and they were given information, they were able to discuss individual association issues. That was stopped a long time ago because of COVID and everything else. The other thing that I would like to do, and if I'm elected, I will, we're going to have monthly meetings where it'll be open. All the vice presidents and myself will be sitting here. We will have some presentations as to the ability of what we can help you with. Dominic has an extensive background in engineering. He can answer all your questions about your roofs, what you can do, what you can't do. He has an extensive knowledge, and you can ask him the questions and you'll be able to get your answers. And that's, to me, that's where we need the educational part. We need people like you to sit in a classroom like this, be handed out information, and go back to your associations and disseminate that information. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Are there any more questions from the candidates? Okay, then we're going to now go to questions from people in the audience. I have a few cards. The questions that have been written down have really been covered already, during general discussion. So I'm going to open the floor to anybody who would like to raise their hand and ask a question.
All right.
Please stand up.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna let, is there an extra microphone? He'll move around the room.
My name is Richard Handelsman. My question's for Joanne Robinson. I hope I don't ambush her with this, but my question is, what, if elected, would your plans be for investing?
It's not an ambush. We're friends. Well, we're a not-for-profit organization, so we're not an investment concern. However, we do have a large amount of money that should be productive. It shouldn't just be sitting, waiting for a disaster to happen so that we have to use it. The most important thing, I believe, in a not-for-profit organization is to protect the funds. And our bylaws are very, very plain about that. Only FDIC-insured institutions can be used. My plan would be to go to our current bankers, find out what they can offer us, keeping it liquid. We have to have it available at all times. I would then be very careful about making a plan to show any type of liability that might incur by changing from what we're doing. Because right now, it's in cash. We can get it. If there's a disaster, it's ours. It's yours. But I would certainly make sure that every officer understood in very plain terms what is going to happen if they approved it. That has been an issue. We have not had simple, understandable plans. We've been continuously asked for a blank check. I would never ask for a blank check. I always put everything in very, very specific terms, and that's how I would address it.
Stu, I think, is going to work his way around the room.
I'll be going in that direction. Ladies first.
Hi, I'm really concerned that $11 million has been sitting, not working for the residents here. Mr. Fausto said that the plan was not given to him that the board, I guess, expected. I've heard people say, well, investing money is a slippery slope. That's pretty negative. That gives me an idea of the mindset of the board. The fact that our rates keep going up every year, this is money that we could be earning that would help us not have our rates going up. Treasury bills are very, very safe. There's short-term bills, there's long-term bills. We wouldn't be tying up our money for very long. So I don't understand why it has not been done, other than people saying, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. The board is not working for the homeowners here at UCO as far as I'm concerned.
I'm going to ask as we go forward that if we're looking for questions for the candidates, so.
Okay, so,
So, well, you've had a statement now.
all right, so my question is, how do the current nominees feel about investing our money? Anybody is welcome to answer.
Okay, all right. Let me, and let me also ask that when you're given the microphone, appreciate if you could identify yourself and who you are and which association you live in, okay? So, Bob would like to answer that question.
I'm not a financial genius at all right? But I do know that when you invest money into like CDs and bonds and stuff, there are early withdrawal fees if you have to take the money out. That's my concern. So we're not going to be gaining money, we'll be losing money.
Okay, thank you. All right. Who's next? Stu's working his way around the room. Okay.
I have the floor here now.
Okay, we're gonna
My question to...
wait. First, identify yourself.
Okay. I'm Dan Gladstone, running for the executive board.
And
I have a question
what
for the
association?
two presidents, Cambridge Estes and Friends.
Thank you.
You just mentioned here that the presidents or the UCO does not interfere with the associations. 40 years ago, when UCO was established, for 22 years, one person can represent more than one association if he owned more than one apartment. And we are usually in a problem of having candidates. 12 years ago, UCO decided, for no matter what the reason is, that only one person can be, or one delegate can also represent one association. That creates a problem because I know in summer when everybody's out, nobody's here. So my question is, why was it happening that no one person can go and represent more than one association when the lawyer also said that it could be done?
Okay, so I think, and it was for the two presidential candidates. So if you have...
Who did you address it to, Dan?
Again, it's for the presidents, what they're gonna do about this thing, not having one person can represent two associations.
Yeah, I feel this answered your question. It has to be an amendment to the bylaws. So if you would like to bring that up next year as an amendment to our bylaws, we'll put it through the process and the delegates have to vote on it.
Yeah, it was amended to do this thing, so now to...
Okay, it's only, it's not a conversation, it's a question. And Kelly, would you like to address it? He asked about...
So yeah, I have nothing additional to add. That happened before my time.
Okay, all right. All right, and we've got a question in the back. I think. Who's got the microphone?
Hello, my name is Cokie Cordera, and I'm the president for Somerset Cave. My question is to all the candidates. I am legally blind, and I have 90-year-old, 98-year-old in my association now. I'd like to know if anyone would address the problem. We don't do computers or Zooms or any of that stuff, and I understand we gotta get on with the new world, but in my case, I'm legally blind, and I have two other people in my associations. What do we do in order for us to get information out to these folks that are seniors and don't know even how to turn a computer on? Thank you.
All right, who'd like to take that? Was that to anyone in specific?
Yes, no, anyone.
Anybody, okay. Joanne would like to answer that.
I'd very much like to give at least what I can of an answer. I've taken over, I was asked by David Israel to look into why we have 3 TV stations that we're not using. And I have put in a lot of work getting as much information. First, I had to entertain people. You can't turn TV on, you can't get people to turn TVs on unless you entertain them. So we started with movies, and we got a pretty good, reaction. So we started putting a few things on, And I listen to what people say. I'm in the office every day. I want to hear from people. And one of the things that we're trying to do is healthy living presentations and exercise and stretching. And we have 3 TV stations. If we have any way of getting in touch through TV stations, we're going to do that. We're going to keep improving on things like that. But that's one of the ways that we can have alternate methods of communicating with people. So, yes, follow
My
up.
question was, Cookie Cordero again. I don't want to be entertained. I want to be educated.
And that, in order to get people to watch, I had to try to get them to turn the TV station on. And that's what I want to do. I want to get you information. Right now, people that are legally blind need the audio section beefed up, and we will certainly work on that. That's something we can do. We now are working on getting general information, but as much and as current as possible. But that's a very good suggestion, and we'll work on that.
Phyllis would also like to address that.
I believe, if it's still working, I haven't seen it in a while. Channel 20. The way we had the community channel, it was Channel 20, and we were able to get the commissioners' meetings. We were able to bring forth to whomever questions about our communities, because it wasn't just Century Village. There were other communities that were having problems, and I don't know, is 20 still working with the commissioners?
Yes.
Okay, that's where we have to go in order to bring Channel 20 into the village. It was tried many years ago, and for some reason it failed. I don't know if it was the person who was in charge of doing this or what happened, but that would be the greatest thing that we could do for the people who are have that type of handicap, because there everything is right there in your face, and it worked very nicely.
Okay, thank you. And Bob, do you want to answer this?
How about me,
Okay.
Mr. Greg?
Well,
Just one second, we're still on the subject.
You want him?
All right,
My question is,
hold
for
on,
everybody.
hold on.
One second.
All right. One of the things that everybody's not taking into consideration is these people are legally blind. They're not gonna see what the TV has on unless you have a talking head. All right? Well, yeah, you gotta have a talking head on there. In other words, when we do our announcements on our cable station, we should have someone there actually reading it so that people know that they can see. And that would solve that issue.
Okay. Thank you, Bob. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sandy.
I'm Sandy Friedenson, Salisbury I delegate. I want to know from all you candidates, how come we don't move the meetings out of UCO and have it in room C? We have more parking here, and you can't find a place to park over there when you have a meeting.
Okay, would somebody like to answer that question?
Hey, Sandy. Hey, so what I'll say is, I've heard some good questions. I don't have the answers to some of these questions, but I am taking notes. Our Board Synergy Club, we have an action register. We get great questions from owners all the time, and we're tracking those questions, tracking progress. So that's one of the things that I hope to change if I'm electing president, is when people bring up ideas, they're not going to go into the vacuum of space. We're going to start tracking those. We may not have solutions everybody loves, but we're going to try to do our best to address some of these.
But you got 7,854 units, and
Yes.
you're trying to squeeze us into a small parking lot? Come on.
Yep, so thank you.
All right, who's next? Well,
If there are no more questions
we'll close it up.
from the floor,
Okay, one.
We have one more.
She gave a card. She gave a card.
Oh, sorry, we have two.
She gave a card.
Elaine Brown, Treasurer, Sussex L, economist. I'd be glad to tell you what to invest. And I handed in 3 questions. She tanked them. Try the second 2. The first one was about CDs.
I have your questions.
I'll
It
answer
seemed
them.
that we had already answered them.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Not in my opinion.
All right, the first question that Elaine wanted answered was why can't the current UCO directors work together to invest our money in CDs for a better return? I think that question has been asked and answered a number of times already. The second question, she wanted Fausto to describe UCO's purpose.
Eat, drink, and be merry. Okay, what is UCO's purpose? Thank you, Elaine. We're here to help the residents of Century Village. We take care of the roads, we take care of your community channels, we answer your many, many questions, put up with association issues that should be answered by the association. 90% of the nonsense that comes into the UCO office is the responsibility of the association. Whether it's a water leak, whether it's a pest, whether it's a peeping Tom through the window, whatever it is, I'll be fair, 75% of the association, go talk to UCO. Okay? We're there, we volunteer, we're unit owners, just like all of you. Do we get the respect that we deserve? Not all the time. And for anybody that volunteers, the girls that work at the front, that work at the front desk or the barcodes, they don't get the respect. I have people, this morning, a gentleman almost ripped off our front door because he showed up at 11:45 and we're cutting into his personal time to get a barcode for no reason. So we do oversee all the major contracts. We do answer the 99% of the problems that come in. Unfortunately, I wish we could handle them 100%, but we can't, because it is not my responsibility. This morning, Donald and I were talking where an owner wants to get rid of his tenant. Well, you a victim. That's not our job. That's the owner's responsibility. These are the things, the day-by-day things that we put up with every single day. That's not our job. A unit owner has a water leak, contacts the president. President is in New York. Well, what are they going to do? I don't know. Go to UCO. They'll help you. That's not our job. Our job is to try to be an intermediary between the associations and what goes on. We can't tell you what you do. I wish we could. The biggest thing that we have, and I'm trying to work on it with Eva somewhere along the line, years ago, certificates of occupancy during the summer months were allowed to be submitted with one signature, where it requires 2, whether it's a rental or whether it's a change in ownership. She now wants to go away with that because associations are submitting everything with just one signature. Now, as many people know, I've been saying, you should have at least 2 board members living in your building so you can conduct business. And we have associations here, I don't know how many, but there's quite a few. So,
Can I add to that?
Commissioner?
May I add to that, the purpose of UCO?
What was that? It was specifically to ask.
What the purpose of UCO was? Oh, it was just, okay, I'm sorry. Because there's a lot more to it than just that.
Yes, Mr. Bergman, point of order.
The question was asked by a participant
and you're the moderator.
You're the moderator.
I am.
And someone else took the liberty of saying it's been asked twice. That's not that person's job.
Okay, I appreciate that.
And let me finish.
I do appreciate that.
Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead. Point of order. Go ahead. What's your point of order?
That question should have been answered by me. I am the current treasurer, and I am not going to get into a battle where someone says who's not in charge.
Okay.
That's out of
I
order.
have your point of order, and I don't mean to shut you down, but the question was specifically to ask to Fausto about that, and he had already answered a question about investing.
No, this was a question that was on treasurer.
No, it was not for the treasurer. I'm looking at the note right here. It says specifically it was for Fausto. And if it was meant, I'm sorry, Mr. Grossman, it was meant for you, and they didn't put your name on here, I apologize, but it's not on the document. All right. I will, do you want me to do this one? There's one more, she had 3 questions on here that she had identified. This one is to you, Kelly, and this one is, how would you address small boards? I don't know what that is, but it's a question, and then we'll come back to you. I don't know, that's what it says.
Yeah,
I think
so
we're talking about-
thank you. I do think that that's one of our big challenges. A lot of our units are 16, 14, 26, with a lot of snowbirds, and to find, 5 capable people who are willing to serve on the board is a challenge. So I don't know an answer there, but I think there are some options that I think are worth looking into. They may not amount to anything, but one is looking at multi-associations. I believe our attorney Rod Tennyson proposed this like 12 or 15 years ago. Don't know if it would work or not, but I think it's something that should be looked into. Maybe a committee does it. Another is I've been in contact with Century Village East, Deerfield Beach. They've started a board accreditation program that is working well for them. They have a similar situation, 8,500 condos, 253 associations, and they've been working on this for almost 2.5 years. They're rolling it out right now. I've talked with them. They're willing to share everything with us, so we can hit the ground running. We don't have to take a year or 2 to ramp up. So I'd look into that and any other ideas that people have. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to go, we have a question in the back, and then we're going to come up to you, sir.
Hi. My name is Sue Anderson. I'm the president of Stratford D. I have a question for Kelly, which is a follow-up to what Fausto said regarding the associations and the unit owners not knowing what direction to take for various issues that seem to be frustrating to the UCO office. My question is, Kelly, how would you address some of that frustration that the office currently is experiencing?
I got it.
Thanks, Donald. Yeah, like I said before, I would change our focus so that we understand better what issues they have, and that we try to find solutions that we can put on paper, not telling them what to do, but what steps they need to take to accomplish what they're trying to do, and let them figure out what they need to do for their particular situation. Also, I think everybody needs to treat everybody with respect, sensitivity. I would enforce that, possibly work at the front desk one day a month to make sure that that's going on and that that's happening. You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay, this gentleman up here had been wanting to ask a question for a while.
I'll get to you in a minute.
Frank Kanji, Wellington K. This regards dogs. Mr. Rivera, you mentioned some don't like dogs. I'm one of them. But my question is to switch to the 2 presidents. When Century Village first allowed dogs in the village, they also said that the unit owner was supposed to walk it only around their building. It did not happen, and it's what can you guys do to enforce that the bylaw that was done at the beginning?
First of all, they have the sign.
It was put on the New York Reporter as a bylaw.
Okay, the question is the two president candidates.
Okay, one, UCO still doesn't allow dogs, but we can't prevent service dogs or emotional support animals. The enforcement comes from each of the associations. Each association has to monitor its own building. So if you allow a dog, a pet, whatever it is up to the association to tell that person, you can bring a dog in, but that dog is not supposed to leave this property. And right now, there's no association that's doing that I'm aware of. Hopefully that answers your question. No, it doesn't. Well,
Hang on.
You
Hang on, it's not a conversation. And now,
excuse me. Yeah, I just wanted to say, did you hear my first statement? UCO says no dogs. You want UCO to fix a problem that we say shouldn't exist. The problem exists because the associations are allowing to bring in pets. You can't prevent animals that are service animals or emotional support animals.
thank you. All right.
Thanks, Donald. I also live in a no animal building. I'm not a fan of dogs. We have many emotional support animals, and I'll tell you, I love my neighbors more than I don't like dogs. And so I think what we need to do is talk more to people. You see somebody walking a dog, have a conversation with them. You might find out that they're a really nice guy, and maybe it's not that big of a deal that they have a dog.
I used to be the president of another building, and I saw a dog walking from someplace else around my building. You know what I was told? To go after myself.
We've got another question. Please, we're not having a conversation. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, my name is Jean Covington. I am at Cambridge Eye, a owner, and I just want to ask Mr. Feisco. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. I came to one meeting and I would like to know from you, what would you do different and speak to people? Because I said I would never come back because you were so rude. What? Yes. We all came in the way he told us to go to the back. I was very intimidated by it, and you should speak to people that way because you want people to come. And I know your job is not easy. You don't get paid, but you were so rude, and we said we would never come back. I'm the only one came back. I just want to ask, how would you adjust your attitude going forward?
I'm not sure of what meeting that you came to.
We came to talk to you about the pool. And we didn't know the process. We didn't know that we had to put our name on
Oh, at an operations meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
We came, but you were so rude, everybody left and said I would never go back to another meeting. We
I
shouldn't have to feel
apologize.
like that.
I apologize if that's the way that you
Yes,
felt.
yes.
But any pertaining to the pools belongs to WPRF. I wish that we could help, but as far as you, my understanding was a WPRF meeting with UCO.
Okay.
They said whoever belongs to the committee sits here, everybody else must sit on the sidelines.
You didn't say it like that. If you had said it like that,
I
we would
apologize.
have accepted much, much better.
I
We didn't know
apologize.
the process.
That's okay.
We were new, okay?
I apologize.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, thank you.
I'll do better.
We've got, I think there's somebody in the back. Where are we going? Oh, we're going over here.
Hi, my name is Sandra Marsh. I'm from Northampton A. I have a question specifically for Phyllis. What is the purpose of UCO?
Phyllis, you're recognized.
Very well served, ma'am, very well served. UCO has its main purpose is to negotiate 5 contracts for the bulk contracts for the village. If I remember correctly, of course it's amendment number 3 in the UCO bylaws, that I remember. Cable, ambulance, security, help me out here, I don't, transportation.
Insurance.
And insurance. That's the purpose of UCO, to just, nothing else. And it's in the bylaws, amendment number 3, I think it's on page 9 or 8. If you're willing to read through them, the amendments are really interesting because they're brand new. They've only been changed in the last 2 years. Before that, the amendments were from 2013. So anyway, that's the purpose of UCO, just to negotiate those 5 bulk contracts for the village.
Question in the back.
Yes, my name is Mr. Kohler, Stratford Sea president. I live on the corner. I'm watching all of these buses keep on going by, back and forth. 90% empty. That's number one. Number two, $30,000 a week is the cost that we are paying, not a month. $30,000 a week. I don't understand what's going on here. Something is not right.
And your question is?
Why are we paying so much money for the bus service? By the way, the buses are eating up the streets. They're heavy buses, and in due time, we're gonna pay many, many millions to redo the streets, and we're gonna pay the bill. Who can answer me why this is happening?
We have a response for you, sir. Patricia, you're recognized.
Hi, I am the chair of the Transportation Committee. That bus, the buses that are running were voted on by the people at the Delegate Assembly. I don't have the power to say what bus I want by myself. We keep trying to improve the service. Now, as far as the buses running, I just got through telling someone at my meeting, and I hold a meeting once a month on the first Tuesday, and I would love for you to come.
I was there.
You were there? I didn't see you this Tuesday.
Last year I was there.
Last year? Sir, I welcome everyone. I'm there once a month at that meeting. I'm there more than once a month, but I'm at the meeting. The meeting is once a month on the first Tuesday. And the agenda is for the good of the order. There's a place for anyone and everyone to comment, to talk to me. In turn, I talk to the managers of the bus company. I've been working very hard and very diligently in the last year to improve the service, and I'm happy to say that the majority of forms that come into me are compliments that the bus drivers are nicer. The ones who were rude got suspended. We now have cameras on every bus so that we can see what's going on, because someone accused one of the bus drivers of hitting her when, in fact, she hit the bus driver. So, the buses are for everyone. I took a bus at 5 o'clock to go to Publix because I don't see well anymore myself, and I can't drive. And I was with 2 other people. I wanted to see how many people go back and forth, weekends, days. I ride the buses. Coming back, there were 8 people. So you can't say no one's on the bus, it's not effective. There could be 2 people coming out and a bus full. If you ever go on buses on the weekends, they're crowded, they really are. We have a contract. We can't say don't come this day and come this day, don't come this hour and don't come that hour. That contract covers 7 days a week. We're here for everyone, not just a few people. I hope that answers your question, and please come to my meeting.
All right. We have a question in the back corner here.
Good afternoon. My name is Flora Simpson. I am Chatham U. I am running for re-election to the executive board. My question is for Fausto.
Hold on the chair, please. Ladies. Thank you.
Oh, my question is for Fausto. Fausto, I have to admit, since you had to step into the leadership of being president, you have done a great job. I have to give you that. But Fausto, you are a little scary. Because when people try to come to you, I'm saying this like, when people try to come to you, people try to come to UCO, and I see that. And as a minority myself, I know how it feels when you don't know where to go, what to do. And then you show up at that place and they come to you and you say, well, why are you here? You know, this is not what we do. Well, we didn't know that. We need somebody like Patricia who would tell us, I can listen to you, but this is not the place that you need to be. So Fausto, if you get there, if you get get the position that you're running for, I hope that the attitude and you get into a different person. We are who we are. But I just hope that doesn't stop you from getting re-elected. Oh, I guess one more of a comment than a question.
Okay, all right. We're trying to keep the comments to a minimum. We have our last question coming up.
Hi everyone, my name is Jean Berman from Northampton Inn, and I am also running for exec board. And I wanted to just say to Patricia, thank you very much for the work that you've done with the buses. I mean, I got here late.
Is there a question there?
So much that, is there something that can be done to get them to run a little bit more on time?
Okay,
Because
there's a question there.
Okay, that's a fair question. Again, I'm going to reiterate, please come to the meetings because the general managers are at that meeting. And also, I've told people numerous times, if you write that down on a form, you give it to me, I fax it over to the company, and he has to address it. So, please do that. Any day, you can even get a form here and leave it here, they bring it to me. So write that, put it in writing, and I promise you, in front of all these witnesses, I will address it with them. Okay?
Thank
Mr.
you.
Commissioner.
Yes.
Are you going to have closing statements from the two presidents? Would that be?
I'm not.
Could we do that?
We hadn't planned on it unless the two.
Why don't we do this? We have a couple minutes left before we have to be out of the room. So why don't we do this? Would it allow each of you 2 minutes, presidential candidates, 2 minutes to close out?
There's 10 minutes left, 5 minutes each.
I don't think there's. Thank you. I appreciate your suggestion, but I think 2 minutes is an adequate amount of time to close up. We've had plenty to hear from plenty of folks. So why don't we do that? And since we started with you, Fausto, we'll switch it around this time. Mr. Jansen, would you like to have 2 minutes to have a closing comments?
Yes, thank you. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone. So I've started the Board Synergy Club, met a lot of great people, recognized probably at least half of you. This village has a lot of good people who want to do great things to help, and they just want to be heard and the good suggestions, see that they're acted upon. So I will do my best to do that for everyone. I'm fairly recently retired. I still have a lot of energy, a lot of motivation, a lot of time, and I get motivated by all of you. I did not come down here to run for anything. I came down here to retire and enjoy myself. But I've met so many great people that have these stories that appeal to my compassionate side, and I want to do good. And I feel good doing it. People say I've spent a lot of time. It doesn't feel like work to me because I get so much fulfillment out of it. So thank you to everybody. Thank you.
Fausto, Mr. Fabro, you are recognized for 2 minutes, please.
Thank you. Flo, I'd like to start by apologizing to you. My mother was 5'1". I'm 6'2". So you gotta blame my mother, gotta blame doing away. And if sometimes I come across a little sharp, you gotta think of what we go to. And I have invited several of you. Come and spend some time in the office. So it may be, if I'm abrupt sometimes, I apologize, okay? But we are in there and we handle things that sometimes we shouldn't be handling. I shouldn't be hearing, and not only myself, but any officer should not be confronted with the issues that are being confronted. But we will work on it. And if I'm president, they're going to stick me in the black office and they're going to lock the door, so you probably won't see me, but only on TV. if Joanne lets me get on the TV. And I'll be on 593, which is not even our own channels, okay? But life is difficult. Life is not easy. But we've all had a past, okay? I stand before you, and I can tell you that east of the Mississippi, everybody knows what the Rotary Club is? Rotary Club International? And the Kiwanis Club. I hold the Hickson and the Kaiser, the only person east of the Mississippi that has served 2 clubs for international recognition. Okay? Good. I have been in both clubs for over 30 years. I have almost 37 years as a member of the Knights of Columbus for my church and my faith. Okay? And my strong belief is service above self. And that's why I'm here. I'm here to help the residents. If I come short sometime or I'm upset with you, and just tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, big guy, calm down. And if you want a hug before I leave, I'll be more than happy. I'll give you 2 hugs, okay? Thank you. I appreciate everybody that came here today.
Thank you. All right, as we're getting ready to close, a couple things. I want to let you know who is running for the executive board. I will announce their names. You will be selecting no more than 10. There are 15 names currently on the ballot. So, and this is in alphabetical order. We have Peter Amato. If you're here and you want to stand up and people can see you, that's great. Diane Andelman, Jean Berman, Michael Bunk,
Over here.
Dennis Burrows, George Franklin, Dan Gladstone, Duke Horton, Regina Laporte, Bobby Levin, Luisa Salazar, Flora Simpson, Jerry Sutovsky, John Timmerman, and Michael Zaslow. So, before we close out this meeting, a couple of comments. First, I really want to thank Bobby Levin for helping to organize and set this up. So let's give her a round of applause and thank you. And then lastly, you know, as somebody who has run for public office and has been a candidate, I just want to, first off, I want to thank all of you that were here. Thank you for your participation. Thank you for your excellent questions and comments. And I also, though, really want to thank the folks that have put themselves out to run for office. You have an incredible group of people that want to all represent you and do the best for your community. So you should be proud of whoever you end up electing, that you have so many people committed and wanting to do service for your community. So I want to thank you all, myself, and thank the candidates for allowing me to be your moderator today.
I have one closing comment before we leave. There seem to be a number of questions. What does UCO do? I want to remind everybody that copies of the UCO bylaws are in the lobby of the UCO building. It might be a very good idea for each one of you to pick up a copy, read exactly what UCO does, what committees we take, what committees are open to people to join. It's a very good document. It's only 8 or 9 pages. Might be a good idea for everybody to acquaint themselves with the UCO bylaws. Thank you all for coming. Don't forget to vote in March.
Sir, did you send your Stratford C?